Right, so we're back here. We're going to get set up here and get the finals and everything going. We've got Matt Sokol at the top. He's going to be playing light side first. He's going to be playing We Have a Plan. And he'll be taking on Tom Kelly as dark side. Tom's just been camped out at the top table today. Tom's playing his Imperial Entanglements deck, which we saw earlier. Matt's going to be playing We Have a Plan, starting the 3 sites. Looks like Walkling squadron assignments, and we'll take the long way. Sorry we didn't have a semifinal match to stream for you guys, but just the way the timing worked out. Matt Sokol typically plays his games pretty fast, and Michael Erisman sometimes will play fast as well. And by the time the Greg Shaw versus Mike French matchup really came down to trying to grind some diff, Mike French had about 17, 18 cards left, and Greg Shaw was down to about 5 or 6, and Greg was trying to just find ways to grind Mike down, and Mike was trying to make sure he kept moving and positioning himself, so he was only losing, like 1 or 2 cards a turn, while finishing off Greg's remaining few force to make sure that he stayed above 12. So that game almost went to the time limit. And by the time that had finished, and then we had got the pairings going, Matt and Michael Erisman had already finished game number 1 and moved on to game number 2. And Mike decided to concede the matchup to Tom Kelly. Wasn't real comfortable with his matchups, and he's got a couple hours drive home, so he wanted to just get that over with and get that going. They're all in terms of the cash prize and things like that. Tom, Kyle, and Mike are all teammates. They all made the top 8, and they're just sharing the prize money amongst the team. So not an uncommon strategy amongst teammates who make the top finals pretty well. But what we're going to see here is, let me just slide them over just slightly. All right, we'll do a little shift. We shifted them over. There's the double handshake from Matt Sokol. So this is definitely a matchup that Tom has had a lot of experience with, and I think Matt's probably played against Entanglements quite a bit. Tom chose to play Dark Side first. Entanglements is clearly the deck he feels the most comfortable with. We've got some Admirals already. He's got Vader. He's got DS612, DS615 rather. So he's going to be able to get some stuff put together on his Devastator to protect that from the Bravo squad. But relying more often than not on using the walkers and the tramples and things like that. Tom may not be able to contest the throne room too much. What we did see last game with Tom using Tarkin and the Stormtrooper garrison, and that is certainly going to be something he's going to try and piece together again to try and take the throne room, or at least cause some serious battle damage and in the throne room. But with WAP having Jarrus Janik and some of the other ways to mitigate that damage, it's not going to be as successful for Tom as it was in his last matchup with the QMC deck. Tom will go ahead and do his standard pulls, as does Matt. Tom took the Flagship Executor and 2 Admirals. Matt pulled Queen Amidala and the system. Matt's got his grabber out. Tom's got his grabber out. They're both going to play cautiously, I think. I don't think you'll see Tom go for that big first turn flip the way he did against Joe Phillips in last game. He's going to play a little more cautiously. He'll probably put some guys on the Devastator turn one. He'll get his docking bays out. He'll get with WAP not really playing or having access to spies to play. He can feel free to leave Piet over at the Executor docking bay for a turn or two. Maybe put just Ozzel or something up on the Devastator, and draw some cards to kind of keep his hand high. But we'll see what Tom decides to do. Tom's going to go ahead and he's going to pull one of his sites there. He got the Executor docking bay. We'll see. I'm sure we'll see Piet go to that docking bay. There's Ozzel to the Star Destroyer, as expected. Yeah, no real surprises from Tom here. He's going to keep it nice and simple. We'll see if he wants to pull the Admiral's Order now. Maybe he might want to wait on that. Possibly save that for later to replace Matt's Admiral's Order or something. I mean, I'll try spinning isn't really going to hurt his Star Destroyers. That card only typically helps take out the Star Fighters with using the control phase text to basically Talon roll ships. All right, Tom's gonna go ahead and add DS615 just in case Matt's feeling a little froggy early and has some type of Bravo guys. He's gonna get the Admiral's Order or put that out, and make his Star Destroyer immune to less than 4. The ironic part of this is that I've repositioned the camera slightly so we could see more of the top half of the table, because Tom likes to play everything so close to him. He likes to feel like he has all his cards close to him. And then Matt asked to switch sides. So all right, Matt's going to use an all wings combo, one of several in his deck. Whether he grabs, yeah, he's going to get Bravo 4, I believe that is. That one deploys cheaper to Naboo and increases the force drain there. It's also another Bravo fighter, another Bravo ship to match up with Rick Ollie and Bravo 1. Just going to double check with the pictures on that one, make sure that was Bravo 4, which I believe it is. That's the one that him and Johnny Chu usually tend to favor. Yeah, it's Bravo 4. While in Naboo's system, it adds 1 to each of his 4 strains there, and it's immune to less than 4. While Raya is piloting, and Raya doesn't... Lieutenant Raya. Just draws if unable to otherwise. So nothing too fancy there. But the whole thing will deploy for 2. Draws if unable to otherwise, immune to less than 4, and adds 1 to the 4 strains at Naboo. So certainly a possibility for Matt to use that to try and hold the Naboo system in a little bit. But first turn, he's gonna get the queen moving towards the throne room. Having the benefit of we'll take the long way, adding 1 to each of the each Imperial's deploy cost will make Tom's guys a little more expensive. So we'll see if he which guys he's willing to commit to that throne room. But right now he's just going to send the lone queen, get her moving over to the 1-0 location. And I think we already saw the Ascension guns in Matt's hands. He's going to draw a couple cards here. And he's going to have plenty of activation moving into turn 2. It's one of the things that the WAP objective does. So Matt will leave a couple force behind. Looks like he's got 2 left there. The camera will stop doing that in just a second. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 for him is 10 plus 2 for the docking bay. So Tom's getting 12. 12 would have been enough, plus any he might have had left, would have been enough to deploy a flagship executor. So Matt wisely, especially, and he would have gotten 2 more force if he had deployed Naboo, so that would have been 14. Matt showing us the pile of cards in his hand. It's been a kind of a running theme for Matt the last few games that we've seen of him, drawing quite a bit early, getting 18, 20 card hands, and having all the pieces to all the answers together, and not trying to piece it together as the game goes. He's just going right after it early. Sorry, I was getting a little glare from the window behind me. Tom's going to go ahead. He pulled another site in the Mos Espa docking bay. He's going to spend 5 force to get Blizzard 4. Use Blizzard 4 and get Barrach. There's Tarkin to the... I think that's Mos Espa. That'll give him 2 locations. Probably see an occupation come down. Yep. Oh, there's Justice, rather. Imperial Justice is a great counter card against We Have a Plan, preventing forced battle destinies from being modified or canceled. That'll be something that will come into play later once Matt flips his objective, which he'll probably do next turn. It looks like Tom's not going to contest it. So he's got 3 cards stacked on Justice. We can see... looks like it's one of the pilots, an Emperor Palpatine, and I think that's an Imperial Command. All right. Tom's going to shuffle some people around and flip his objective. He brings Piet over from the docking bay. He moves Blizzard 4 to the Desert Heart, where any characters need +1 land speed to move away. So that'll be difficult. So Matt would have to suicide run guys in there, otherwise they would get stuck at the desert. But he'll go ahead and flip. Looks like there's occupation on the system now, so Tom is threatening quite a bit of early damage, as usual. I didn't do it first turn like he did against Joe. He played a little more patiently this time around, and set it all up second turn, which is kind of par for the course with this Imperial Entanglements Dark Side deck. It's one of the reasons why it's been so popular and has remained at the top tables for as long as it has, is its ability to its synergy. The number of cards and the characters all work very well together. They deploy for relatively low force. The deck tends to activate pretty quickly, getting to 12, 14 force by second or third turn consistently. Tom was activating 12 on turn 2 and not really getting too many icons from Matt to do it. Matt's going to use a Wackling Pole with his objective, with his effect there. He's going to use 3 force, take an effect into hand from reserve deck, and he's going to get a projection of the Skywalker, which he's going to use to negate one of those 4 strains. But he's still going to be looking at 3 sources of 1 damage, plus the occupation damage for 3. Actually looks like Matt has 2 projections in his hand already, so he'll be able to negate 2 of those ground drains. Matt's going to pull his Don't Do That Again shield. Use that to go get an immediate effect, which he's probably not playing, but he wants to know what's in his reserve deck and what options he might have. Possibly just checking some Battle Destinies out. And seeing what he can do here. We know at some point this turn he'll definitely move the Queen over to the throne room and flip his objective. And then whether or not he has to deploy 1 or 2 characters to back her up, or whether he wants to take a shot and go after someone like Tarkin. Matt may just be content just to play the projections, and if he's got a card in hand in his rather large hand to mitigate the occupation damage or cancel occupation, that may also have been something that he was looking for to when he was checking his reserve deck to see if he's got. I'm not sure if he's running free ride combos or if he's running the Escape Pod War Doom combo. The free ride Endor Celebration combo would cancel occupation outright, whereas the Escape Pod War Doomed would just prevent the force loss next turn. But either one of them would be helpful in this situation. Tom's going to pull a shield. That's the There Is No Try shield. So obviously he's worried about any of his interrupts being sensed. Sense is a card that has been seen in several WAP decks. Usually some of them run 2 copies of it. There's a number of dark side interrupts that are worth canceling. Things like a Dark Time for the Rebellion that would prevent their ability to cancel Battle Destinies. I think we've seen one of those earlier from Tom, so wouldn't surprise me to see that Tom would play There Is No Try to try and protect some of his cards here. There's not too many other shields that are going to be overly useful for him. Matt probably isn't going to have too many drain bonuses. I mean, he might get the drain to 3 at the system. That it could get resistance to 2, but not sure what happened there. I don't know if Matt just ripped a sleeve. Might have been swapping a card out with one of his starting effects or something. So Matt does have both projections in his hand, so we'll definitely see him mitigate some force loss, at least for one of those Tatooine drains. Whether he wants to do it for both, or whether he wants to consider saving one for his courtyard site. But for right now, he's just going to move the queen over, flip his objective, with the ascension guns, lets him relocate during the deploy phase to move his queen into the throne room. Now he can get around. He flips his objective. He doesn't have the deployment restrictions, and he can deploy guys right there. But Matt's going to go for the home run here early. He's going to drop the EPP Qui-Gon with lightsaber against Grand Moff Tarkin. Projection the other two sites. So Tom will not have any force drains from those two locations. Matt's probably going to drop somebody here to back up the queen. Yep, Sio Bibble. Put him down to back up the queen. Give him somebody to forfeit if Tom does decide to come battle. He's going to battle. He's going to swing at Tarkin, and I think that's going to miss. Oh, Cody's a 3. Okay, so he does hit him. So that's a 3 and a 1. Tarkin is hit and forfeit 0. He'll use Justice to prevent his Battle Destiny from getting canceled, to try and prevent taking any overflow. And that's a ship for Destiny. That's a guy for Destiny. So they're both going to die. Tom's going to take a couple cards loss here. Not terrible. Could have been a lot worse. It's 8-5 looks like. So it looks like Tom, or 7-5 rather. Oh, 8-5, 8-6. I forget about the one from Tatooine, the power bonus there. So Tarkin and 2 cards. And he lost the Emperor's Reach, and it looks like an Imperial Command from his off the top. So not a bad situation for Tom. Not terrible. Good play by Matt, though. It worked out for him to clear one drain to block the other 2 with the projections. So now he's just looking at a drain of 1 from the system and the 2 occupation damage now. So he's only losing 3 cards this turn, as opposed to if he had just ignored him completely, he'd been losing 3-7. So it's one of the things that this We Have a Plan deck does very well is mitigate force loss between the objective limiting the force drains to 2, and then Sio Bibble reducing drains on Naboo, and projections of a Skywalker, which it usually plays, limiting the drains there. We saw from the drain of 1, he lost Jarrus Janik off the top, and from the 2 occupation damage, and alternatives to fighting, and an I'll try spinning. The I'll try spinning isn't going to do Matt much good, other than just being used to replace Tom's Admiral's Order, and Matt has at least 2 copies of that in his deck, so he felt comfortable that he could get rid of one version. Tom's going to show us his reserve deck as he's looking for probably a Tatooine location or a docking bay. Doesn't really matter because everything's on the table already for him anyway. There's an Admiral's Order in there. There's a command. I can't shake him. An Admiral. Did not see an Imperial Decree on the table yet, though. And that may be what Tom is going to force push for here, possibly. That'll help reduce some of the force drain, the force damage from the We Have a Plan objective. Because right now he'd be losing 2 for the Queen and controlling the throne room, and then possibly a drain of 1 there as well. But it's the 2 static damage that Tom's going to want to reduce, especially if Panaka is going to be coming out soon as well. That could increase the damage up to 4. Hmm. All right. Tom's going to spend 5 force. He's going to deploy the Emperor that he just took off of Justice last turn to Moss Eisley. That'll get him another battleground site to drain at that can Matt's out of projections, so that'll at least give him a drain of 1. It'll also increase his occupation damage by 1, and there we see the Imperial Decree. So it will not benefit Matt at all, whether he puts Panaka out or not, or spreads to 2 sites. He won't cause any additional damage. Tom's got 4 battlegrounds now, so he's going to reduce that all the way down to the minimum of 1. Tom's going to add another pilot aboard his Devastator, and he's going to drop his Tempest Scout 1 to the docking bay. Probably put those guys inside, move over to the adjacent site to try and get another drain of 1 back, and still be within range to react. All right, so that other pilot was Grand Admiral Thrawn. Looks like Tom has decided he doesn't need Thrawn aboard the Devastator right now, and instead is going to choose to shuttle him down. So he paid 2 to deploy him because of the Admiral's order instead of 4, and then paid 1 to shuttle him down. So he saved himself 1 force. That's 1 more card that he can draw into hand instead. Looks like Tom's really just going to try and just turn up the heat on Matt and really increase the damage output. Double check Sao Bibble, because I think he gets an activation bonus when Sao Bibble is with Amidala. But I don't remember exactly how that works because I don't play Sao Bibble very often. Same size Amidala, force generation was +2 here. Yeah, so Matt got quite a bit of force. Now Matt's going to go to space, so he doesn't have to pay to drain. He's going to reveal the Bravo 4 that we saw him taking a hand earlier. Get that guy to Naboo very cheaply for just 3 force. And that will allow him to get around battle plan. He can drain for free. It's also a drain of 3 because of the +1 game text. Matt's going to deploy 3PO with his parts showing. That'll let him start moving some cards around, set up his high destinies, get some of his low destiny characters and ships out of his deck. Try and piece together some other combos. We'll expect to see Rick Ollie and Bravo Fighter possibly here soon. He's holding a barrier, so that's at least. Yeah. All right, so he played the Bravo 4. I take it back. He played Bravo 4 with Hark Seth. And that looks like Bravo 1 with Rick Ollie, Bravo leader, piloting it. So that'll give him 3 battle destinies because Rick's with another Bravo fighter, Bravo pilot. And each of those ships is power +2 from his objective. So he's going to have quite a decent amount of power there and 3 battle destiny. And with Thrawn and Ozzel already on the table, in terms of admirals that would be able to trigger admiral's orders, Mahdi would probably be the only one left that Tom has. So if you were going to deploy the flagship executor to Naboo, he would have to have Mahdi to go with it. Otherwise, the 3 battle destiny are very likely to clear that out. Now, he does still have 2 justice pulls. Imperial Justice will limit to 1 draw, but Marek Steel was already lost during the Tarkin battle, and there's certainly no reason that Matt couldn't spin Dark Letter spin for one of his destinies, the first one, and then draw a card behind it, and get 2 destiny through that way. But in the meantime, we're going to see Tom activate and cause some force loss to Matt here. He's got 4 occupation damage right now, plus drains of 3. Double check the old Twitch chat, see how the feed is going. Matt's going to peel 4 cards. We're going to see an Overseer, a Sio Bibble, and then there's some drains there. So Matt's going to go ahead and lose an Altar, Sio Bibble, Jazz Concentration, a Sense. Looks like it's a hit. So he's going to lose about 7 cards there to the drains and the occupation damage. Matt will not be able to survive too many turns of that. So he's either going to need to find his canceller cards, or he's going to have issues moving forward. Tom's going to deploy his flagship executor to Tatooine. We're possibly going to see him shuttle some people up and move some people around. Now that Rick Ollie, Bravo leaders, hit the table. Which pilot that was, though. And he's going to add a second pilot to it. move Thrawn up. That'll get him to a second Destiny draw. And just add 3 more power and 7 more forfeit as well. And he's gonna move DS615, whether he's gonna bring him over to the flagship executor or whether he's gonna shuttle him down. I think is what Tom's considering there. It looks like he's gonna shuttle him down. And he's gonna bring Commander Desan down as well. That will give him a general or commander at a site to start doing an additional ping damage with the Admiral's Order that we see buried in that pile of cards on the right-hand side of Tom's screen. And now we'll move the flagship executor over to Naboo to block that drain of 3. If I had to guess, I think that's Colonel Wolf Yularen, who's a pretty decent pilot who's going to forfeit for 7. So when he uses Imperial Justice to limit each of them to 1 draw, that can't be modified or canceled. At the best that that Matt could do would be to kill Commander Yularen and possibly just have more power. He's got 15, 17 right now. Matt's I think Matt's ships are +2 each. So he's similar in power, not too far off, maybe. So Matt will go ahead and he'll do some ping damage from the... we have a plan objective. That'll cause 1 force loss to Tom. And then he'll also drain for 1 in the throne room there. Can't see Tom's piles because he keeps them too close to the vest, but... Matt taking a quick read at Tatooine Occupation, probably just confirming what he has to do to cancel it. He's going to play an EPP Qui-Gon again, send him down to the ground there. I believe this deck typically runs 3 of those, so that would be number 2. He's going to have a... He'll get the swing at the commander or the DS, probably the DS because he's got the higher forfeit, and draw Destiny and clear the commander away. And if Tom chooses not to burn a card from Justice, there's a possibility then that Matt could cancel Tom's Destiny, and then Qui-Gon would actually live and survive the battle. He's also going to deploy Bravo Fighter Virtual to Tatooine. We might see him shift his other ships over. He may have a second. Doesn't look like he has much force left. Yeah, Matt's going to rethink that. He's going to put Bravo Fighter at Naboo instead. Keep the party together. And Matt is choosing not to battle there. Looks like he's just going to block a drain. With Qui-Gon. We'll see if Matt drew a few more cards. We'll see if he found an answer for occupation yet. Otherwise, he's going to take a considerable amount of damage this turn. Again. He has still not found an answer for, for occupation, as it happens to eat at Jack in the Box. So, so Matt's going to go ahead and he's going to lose 4 force from occupation. He's going to get drained for 1 and 1. And he's getting pretty low on cards there. That reserve deck looks kind of thin. He's got 3 active force, 1 used. Tom's going to go ahead and peak with his objective at 5 cards now and take 1 into hand. Give Matt the opportunity to cut. Tom's going to go ahead and add Admiral Monty to the party. I'll give him a 3rd guy. There's the Stormtrooper Garrison. That's going to add a Battle Destiny. So we will not see Tom use Imperial Justice here. Well, he could still use Imperial Justice to make sure that his Destiny draws don't get canceled. He's going to initiate the battle. Matt's got It's a Trap from hand. Spends 3 force and he'll cancel that battle. And that would explain why he didn't battle the turn before, because he had the It's a Trap that he was waiting for. So he blocked a drain successfully, used the It's a Trap to avoid the battle damage, forced Tom to put 2 more characters in play on the table and devote more resources and spend cards there, as opposed to putting more pilots and things on the flagship executor. And now we'll see how much force Tom has left to work with. He still has to pay the upkeep on the Stormtrooper Garrison, or he's going to have to pay the maintenance cost a different way. And whether he wants to be able to move or shuttle anybody else or jockey anybody else around on Tatooine could be an issue. We're running about 40 minutes so far here, so we're just coming up on the halfway point of this finals match game. Again, 1 hour and 30 minutes per game in the finals. Matt's going to head and he's going to activate about 13, and he's got 3 force left in his reserve deck. So Matt's down to under 20 already. Tom's probably about the same force as well, because most of his cards are on the table. He's going to do 1 objective damage. He's going to drain for 1. Cause Tom to lose 2 more cards. But again, we can't see which cards those are. Matt's asking for a count. Matt's going to go ahead and deploy Panaka to the hallway. That won't increase his decree, his objective damage because of Imperial Decree. Tom's got 6 battlegrounds he currently occupies, so he's still going to get that damage reduced all the way down to 1. But Panaka does give Matt an additional drain of 1. That site there gains a dark side icon when the objective is on the 7 side, so that is a battleground location, and that will give Matt another force drain. Now there's Captain Rex. Captain Rex with his gun there. Let's get that card up for you. That was a Rex adds a battle destiny when he's at an episode 1 battleground site, which the Mos Espa docking bay is. I just want to double check because I don't remember offhand if his gun can shoot vehicles. That could be something that could come into play. Looks like Matt will go ahead and battle in space. It'll be 3 destiny to 2 destiny. Tom's going to take a card off of Imperial Justice to limit them both to 1. Those destiny's draws will not be able to be canceled. Matt plays an all wings combo to substitute a destiny, and then draws a 6 behind it. Tom also draws a 6, so it looks like these guys either were both tracking those around or just both happen to draw destiny at the same time. I would surmise that Matt with 3PO there is clearly tracking that. Tom may have been a slightly luckier draw, as he kind of goes through and shuffles his deck pretty often. But Tom's definitely going to have some overflow here. Rex's guns only shoot characters, so shooting that vehicle is not going to help there. But it does give Matt a second character. He'll move Qui-Gon over and consolidate that. Tom had to peel both pilots from the system, and Matt went ahead and lost the Hark Seth aboard the Bravo 4. He still has Bravo Leader and Bravo 1 and Bravo Fighter there together, so he'll still be looking at the possible 3 battle destiny, as Tom only has 1 card left on Imperial Justice. It looks like Tom's going to play a trample, and he went after Captain Rex there and missed, and Matt's going to grab the trample. Matt's starting to gain a foothold in space, but the amount of ground damage that he's taking is going to force him to try and speed that up. Tom can, again, he can move some people around. He may have a couple more pilots. There's a few more biker scouts and stuff left in his deck that he could deploy aboard the Executor to try and keep that alive for another turn. He's got another Justice. So the longer he can keep those cards there at Naboo, the longer he doesn't take a force drain of 3. or 2 if he plays the resistance shield, but if he doesn't have anything in his hand to back it up, then well, he should still have Vader. We know he still has Vader around somewhere. He had Vader in his opening hand. It's possibly threw him away to a Force Drain earlier. Again, we can't see Tom's loss pile, so we don't know what he's been losing so far this game. Matt's going to use 3PO, cycle a card through. Still no We're Doomed free ride situation here. He does have a control tunnel vision. And it looks like right now these guys are just kind of feeling each other out. Looks Tom's going to look for a Force Lightning just to check his destinies. The 6 is in there, which is pretty good for him. And there was another character or so in there. He's going to shuffle and cut there. He's taken, still did not find any answer for occupation, so he's going to take the force damage from the 4 damage from that, and now he's going to start losing some cards here. Mahdi's a commander, so that's going to cause a force loss from the objective, from the Admiral's Order rather, plus the drains in space of 1, 2, and 3. So Matt just lost 8 cards here and is getting pretty slim pickings for him at this point. I think Matt's just going to try and see what he can do to create a little more force loss for Tom, possibly let Tom force Tom to deploy at least 1 or 2 more cards from hand. So things he may not be able to retrieve or put back, trying to avoid battling any biker scouts so that Tom can't retrieve them and put those troopers back into his reserve deck with the objective, and just keep the differential to a reasonable amount. Can't quite see which character that is. That is it's got a virtual slip on it, and it costs, look like it cost 5. That may be some type of Mara Jade, would be my guess. I think we saw that earlier. Or that could be Vader. That's Vader. Alright, so there's that Darth Vader that he's been holding for quite some time. And he's going to draw the 6 after taking a card off Justice to prevent the Destiny from being canceled. That's going to kill both, as a 6. So that'll kill both Panaka and 3PO. Now he'll pay 1 and move his flagship away, I would think, at this point. He's going to shuttle some people up, so maybe he's going to go the other way. He's going to switch ships. He's going to move the Devastator over with 2 pilots on it, and he's going to move the flagship back to Tatooine. That'll protect his Tatooine occupation, so Matt can't just move over and cancel it next turn. and instead he'll just he's got the Devastator blocking the Naboo Drain with a couple pilots on it, a couple pilots with decent forfeit, including an Admiral, so he can use the Imperial Command that's in his hand, which will also put an interrupt back since Matt's already used his grabber, um, increasing his differential by one more, and limiting his overflow or battle damage. And then just keep moving guys around. Tom's just going to try and maximize every card he can at this point, and Matt's just trying to see what other cards he can grind away before Tom starts retrieving any scouts or troopers. Oh, it's really just biker scouts that are in this copy of the deck. Looking forward to the second half of the matchup. Tom Kelly's playing Old Allies deck. It's the same deck, almost card for, I think probably card for card, that Kyle Kruger played earlier in the top 8. Against Matt. Matt played Black Sun for his Dark Side deck today, and was victorious over the Old Allies deck, but I'm sure that they were. I don't know. I don't remember if that was the first game or the second game that he played. I know Matt won the first game by 4, but no, the first game by 4 was TTO against this WAP. So Matt was pulling ahead when Kyle conceded the matchup, but will be interesting to see if Tom, in hearing about Kyle's games, even without full details or anything like that, just hearing just peripheral information about some snippets or story notes, how that might influence how Tom possibly plays the matchup in the next game here. So it'll also be interesting to see how Matt makes that adjustment. Matt, knowing that Tom and Kyle are teammates and they played the exact same deck, Matt's probably assuming that Tom has at least some insight or information about what Matt's deck is, and Matt might have to show him something a little differently in that game. But right now it's just going to be about minimizing damage. Tom's going to shuttle some people around. Commander Desan goes up. The vehicles flip around and switch guys. The biker scout ends up outside, where he can hopefully end up in Tom's lost pile, where Tom wants him. Matt's going to use Walkling to put a card back in his deck to retrieve a force. Try and give him one more card to work with here. He'll spend 5 force and deploy Chewie with Bowcaster down to the throne room there. Looks like he's got 3 force left in reserve deck and only 1 force left active. So I guess he's just hoping he can get some battle damage in against Tom here to cause some overflow to kind of narrow this differential down. It would not surprise me here to see Tom play a close call, though. Matt goes ahead and reveals Solo with squadron assignments just to check his destiny draws. Pretty good there. He does have a possibility of hitting Vader if he draws the right combination of guys. His power there is 3, 5, 11. So if he can hit Vader and then draw a destiny and possibly cancel Vader's destiny, he could create some overflow. There's the 5 and the 3, so that would hit Vader. We're not seeing anything from Tom right now. I think Tom's pondering it. With only one card left in Matt's reserve deck, I would expect to see a close call here to cause the redraw. And there's the close call. He's not even going to cause the redraw. He's just going to subtract 3. Nope, he just subtract 3, so Vader wasn't hit, and then he'll just forfeit Vader to cover all the damage. Matt didn't have any force left anyway to cancel Tom's destiny, so that makes that a bit more sense there as to why he didn't cause the redraw. He just subtracted the 3 from it. If I thought Matt still had 1 force left, Tom must have played, and I can't shake him or something like that to force Matt to play to use 1 force to shoot with Chewie's gun. Matt's down to his last couple of force here. Tom's gonna go ahead and drain him out this turn with the direct damage, and then we'll get a life force count total for you. And get that posted here in a minute. Tom's just going to think it through, see if there's anything else he thinks he can retrieve to up his differential count before going through and pinging the damage. There's 4 cards to occupation. And there's the drains. And there's the ping for Mahdi. Looks like Matt's down to his final 4 cards in his reserve deck. And 1 card left hiding in his hand. Tom's adding power. He may battle at the Mos Espa docking bay. But I don't think Matt will let him. Matt will let himself live long enough to cause any force loss there, to let him retrieve that biker scout. Tom may initiate the battle. I don't know, and Matt may just take the card, just take the overflow, not draw destiny. That kind of just suicide himself basically. To end the game before. Well, Tom's going to play another I can't shake him to force Matt to have to use 1 force to fire his weapons. Or just to make his destiny draws -1. Doesn't matter either way. He's just putting another card back. Looks like Tom went ahead and lost cards from hand to send his Stormtrooper guy used. Matt's going to go ahead and draw up there and end that game, and we'll see, get a differential count. right. So Tom won the first game by 17.